The future of this region looked fairly bleak. From Foodbowl Unlimited's perspective, we knew we were facing three certainties. One is we were going to have less water going into the future. We had an old system that we didn't have enough money to keep up to. It wasn't very efficient and it was going to get less efficient. We knew we were going to pay more for water. It's a massive system and most people don't realise, but 60,000 square kilometres of irrigation system. What hope would we have of keeping up to scratch without the initiative that you've driven? Our price of water would have went up many-fold, makes us less competitive. And the third certainty was we were going to have increasing competition for our water from urbans and from the environment. And I sit here today and I look at where we've come. All of those uncertainties now have been turned into positives. We do have a future that we can drive forward. It's not to be taken for granted, it's not guaranteed. Without this project, this country would have been much poorer. I sit here tonight as an irrigator and I can't understand why people, especially where we're sitting now, can't understand the benefit of this. We have Eildon and at the moment at 20% full. We can't start irrigating because by the time we let that 500 gigs out to get here, we have no water left. The hose has got that many holes in it. So it's very difficult to understand why people don't understand and support this project. But be as it may, that is people. It's about change, this project, and people don't like change. I've no doubt at all how history's going to record this issue. History's certainly going to see the benefits of it to the Goulburn Valley, to Victoria and to the nation.
It's true in every sense of the word to say that the Goulburn Valley has earned its reputation as the food bowl of Australia. And it's done so because our farmers, our growers, our irrigation farmers rank amongst the very best in the world. But unlike our farmers, the current irrigation infrastructure is no longer the best in the world. And if you were to do a continuum, along the continuum of world's worst to world's best practice, the irrigation infrastructure that we have in place in this region has gone over the last 50 years from being at the world's best end of the continuum to being at the world's worst end of the continuum. And that slide has been decades in the making. And the reason we're here tonight is because we cannot afford to let that slide continue because too much is at stake. Currently, as you know, the Goulburn Murray's irrigation system loses up to an average of 900 billion litres of water a year through evaporation, leakage and inefficiencies. As John Corboy says, the hose comes out of Eildon and the other catchments, but it's just full of holes. It's like a 44-gallon drum, but the top half has been punched full of holes, and as soon as you fill it up, the water leaks out. Even during the current drought, the longest and driest on record, the system is losing on average 745 billion litres of water a year. And in round terms, and they are just round terms, for every 3 litres of water which is released, only 2 litres is being delivered. And imagine that being the status quo in any other industry or any other field. What would Ford or Holden or Toyota, what would they say if on their production line, for every 3,000 vehicles, they only ended up with 2,000 getting through? What would a bank say? Would it be happy if for every $3 it lent, only $2 was paid back? And would an employee who worked for 3 weeks be happy if they were paid for just 2? With global competition and climate change, water loss of that magnitude is no longer sustainable and it's no longer acceptable, and that's why we're all here tonight. We need to minimise water loss, we need to maximise water use and reuse, and that of course is why our government is taking decisive action with the Foodbowl modernisation project. You know that our government of course announced stage 1 just over a year ago. Stage 1 is a $1 billion vote of confidence in the region which will save 225 gigs of water. Transformational change is by its nature controversial. Tony Shepherd in his remarks mentioned the Snowy scheme, and I've been doing a little bit of reading about the Snowy Mountains scheme. Many people are not aware that when that scheme was announced, which is of course the defining, I believe, the defining nation-building project of the post-war years, that scheme itself was controversial. That scheme was vigorously opposed by many people at the time. In fact, after Ben Chifley's announcement of the Snowy scheme, the then opposition leader, Robert Menzies, described the project as a white elephant and a waste of money. He promised to pull the plug on the Snowy if he was elected. But in the end, it was common sense which won through, and the Snowy stands today as a great national project. As you know, early works have already started on the project, and they are already benefiting the local economy. So far, around 400, who are mostly local contractors, have been employed to deliver the early works. That work has seen 1,000 new regulator gates installed on the main channel, and it's also seen 500 gates installed in the Shepparton irrigation area and CG 1 to 4 during the winter shutdown. The new regulator gates, which are fitted with computerised technology, will deliver water more efficiently and reduce system operating requirements, delivering precise measurements of water movement right through the system. The second year of works, much of which will be carried out through the off-peak irrigation season from next May, will include more channel gate preparation, measurement and design for installing more gates in winter 2009, as well as preparation for lining other channels where the greatest seepage and leakage areas are identified. The economic modelling that's been undertaken for our Department of Industry, Innovation and Regional Development shows that stage 1 of the project alone will create more than 1,720 jobs in northern Victoria and inject directly additional around $367 million into the local economy. But I think much more than that, just as we're seeing with the Eastlink project, it will provide the certainty, the security and the confidence for further investment by other industries and other companies across a range of sectors in your region.